Hey there, we are getting into a nice short week of comp, right? I hope you enjoyed your long Labor Day weekend. I know I did, and although, you know, this is bad to say, but sometimes when weddings fall on holiday weekends, I get a little selfish. And as much as I want to go to a wedding, for example, it's hard for me to give up even one day of my long weekend. That's terrible to admit. Those of you who've gotten married on long holiday weekends, I apologize. But yeah, I think it's just the teacher in me likes to have like a whole uninterrupted weekend. Okay, let's look at what is due this week and what we're heading into. As I said last week, we're going to be really starting the actual writing process for this paper this week. The readings for this week in the Erin text, again, are just resource readings. They tell you about the type of writing. So if you want some clarity on what's expected in the assignment, check there. And then starting with the H, that's the Hershberger text, is a list of authors: Bryson, Lurie, Coffer, Grandin, Huxley, and Reichel. Those are all separate essays. You're instructed in course content how many of those to respond to, and of course we always respond to at least one peer. You copy and paste those responses into a Word document or into the actual Dropbox for the assignment. I don't have a preference. And so you're double placing those. You're putting the discussion out there and then you're giving it to me for credit. The reason I do that, by the way, is that the way that we have to grade within discussion board is pretty convoluted, and I get a better feel of what you've written if you can do it this way in one chunk for me. I appreciate that. So you're turning your, we're reading and we're responding in the discussion board, and that's really the only assignment. It seems like a light load, but obviously what I really need you to do is read in depth. Read like a writer. Think about this. Each one of these people who wrote are obviously people, and they made decisions. They decided on their topic, they decided on their stance, they decided what words to use specifically, and how to craft their essay, and how to bring out their point. Were they effective at it? Is there anything that you would try as a writer? Is there something you feel like they're leaving out? Do you feel like they've missed something important? Ask yourself, what are they in essence believing to be true, and play the believing game. I borrowed this concept from actually another professor and writer, and he talks about playing the believing game as you read, trying to allow the writer of what you're reading to convince you, even if you're not convinced. So believe to be what they say to be true, and then flip it around and read it as if you don't agree with anything. Make connections. Allow yourself to say, you know what, I can relate to this in this way, or this reminds me of something else. In these ways, I think you'll find that your reading really comes to life. There is a lot of reading, and I want you to spend significant time this week on the reading portion. What should you write about in the discussion board? Well, all of those things I just mentioned: reading like a writer, thinking, playing the believing game, being oppositional, and looking for the argument. All of that type of thing feeds into this concept of what to write about. I want you to post a summary response because that's the kind of writing we're doing. I want you to summarize the articles, and then, but include in that summary what you think, your reaction, and I want you to set it up in a way that invites other people to discuss with you. This is our class discussion on these articles. If you have questions, if you have things you wonder about, put those out there. Invite additions to your thoughts. And mostly, make sure you really develop your thought and give some support to it. I'm not putting a page number length on this, and it is just a discussion board. So I understand that it might be fairly brief, but I want to look for really good content. And as you can see from the video quality, the sun is shining through my office window, and I think it's just beckoning for another weekend, don't you think? Okay, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. And the big assignment this week is reading and discussion. This topic this week will set us up for next week. So I want to take just one moment to preview what next week is going to do. On September 3rd through 8th, that's this week. On September 9th through 16th, you're going to be writing an essay in which you take one of these readings and you create a formalized summary response. So what you're doing now is laying the groundwork for what you're doing later. Have a great week.